At exactly 6:12 a.m., the stillness of a quiet Arctic morning was shattered when a swarm of Ukrainian Spectre-7 drones launched a surprise attack on Russia's Blah airbase. What was once considered a symbol of impenetrable Russian air defense quickly became the site of one of the most humiliating defeats in modern Russian military history. The assault marked the beginning of a new era in warfare, where stealth, speed, and smart strategy proved more lethal than sheer firepower. The Spectre-7 drones weren't massive or flashy. They were small, agile, and designed with ruthless precision. Flying at just 30 feet above the ground, they stayed below the radar horizon, slipping under the detection threshold of Russia's most advanced S-400 missile systems. Their terrain-hugging flight path and radar-absorbing coating exploited physics and geography, turning the Earth's natural curvature into a shield. In doing so, Ukraine didn't just evade detection, it turned Russia's billion-dollar defenses into blind giants. Ukraine executed a multi-layered attack with precision. As the Spectre-7 drones approached unseen, a short-range ballistic missile, nicknamed Loaf Flyer, was launched as a diversion. It tore through the sky at treetop height, lighting up Russian radar screens and drawing operators' focus away from the real threat. At the same time, Ukraine deployed ghost cell units, mobile electronic jammers that emitted signals mimicking friendly communications. These devices didn't just create noise, they fed Russia false information, effectively blinding their systems from within. It was a digital sleight of hand, deadly, elegant, and brilliantly timed. At 6:14 a.m., the first Spectre-7 drone struck its target, a shaped charge blasting through the radar mast of the S-400 gravestone array. Within seconds, 3 more drones tore into launch vehicles and command trailers, wiping out the brain of Russia's air defense system. A second wave followed immediately. With no radar coverage or missile defense left, the drones swept across the base like predators in an open field. Parked aircraft, including aerial refuelers, surveillance planes, and advanced fighters, were destroyed one by one. By 6:18 a.m., Blah Airbase was no longer a fortress. It was a smoldering ruin, a testament to how modern warfare rewards precision over power. Just 6 minutes after the devastation at Blah, Ukraine launched another drone assault, this time targeting Airbase Airbase, located deep within the Arctic Circle. But here, the battlefield wasn't shaped by radar or missiles, it was shaped by the cold. With temperatures plunging to -15 degrees Celsius, 5 degrees Fahrenheit, Russian radar systems like the aging P-18 Spoon Rest and Panzer targeting arrays struggled to function properly. Ukraine's engineers had anticipated this. They used the Arctic environment as a weapon, exploiting temperature inversion layers that bent radar waves and blinded the defenders. What should have been a natural barrier became a strategic advantage, turning Russia's frozen airbase into a trap waiting to be sprung. At Airbase, the extreme Arctic cold turned every mechanical advantage into a vulnerability. Panzer turrets, normally swift and precise, moved sluggishly as the hydraulic fluid thickened in the freezing air. Guns that should have unleashed thousands of rounds per minute sputtered and stalled. Then came the first blow. A Loaf Flyer missile screamed in at treetop level and struck the central fuel depot. At -15 Celsius, steel didn't bend, it shattered. The explosion wasn't a fireball, but a chain reaction of bursting pipes and metal fragments, tearing through the fueling complex like shrapnel. Seconds later, the Spectre-7 drones arrived, unhindered by radar or resistance. Using thermal imaging, they picked off anything warm. Trucks, aircraft, generators, turning Lenia into a graveyard of burning machinery in mere moments. By 6:24 a.m., just 10 minutes after the initial wave hit Blah, Lenia Airbase was in ruins. With radar systems blinded by atmospheric interference and defensive weapons crippled by cold, the Ukrainian Spectre-7 drones moved unchallenged across the base. Their thermal cameras easily identified live targets against the frozen ground. Every running engine, every warm vehicle stood out like a flare. Fuel depots ignited in towering explosions visible from orbit. Despite Russia firing over 40 missiles and thousands of rounds, only 3 drones were downed. The rest had already done their damage. What was once a secure Arctic outpost had become a flaming disaster zone. Proof that preparedness means nothing if you don't understand your environment. At 6:25 a.m., just 1 minute after Oenia fell, Ukraine set its sights on Deloa Airbase, the crown jewel of Russia's northern air defense network. Unlike the remote outposts before it, Deloa was a fully modernized stronghold, fortified with multiple S-400 batteries, over half a dozen Pantsir SM units, electronic warfare trucks, and even legacy ZSU-23-4 Shilka guns. On paper, it was impenetrable. But Ukraine didn't send a traditional air force. Instead, 31 Spectre 7 drones approached, not in one formation, but scattered into 7 mini-swarms. Each group flew at different altitudes and angles, confusing Russia's targeting systems. What looked like chaos was in fact a precise form of algorithmic warfare. Deloa was about to learn that overwhelming power means nothing when your systems can't keep up with the enemy's speed and unpredictability. As the Spectre 7 mini-swarms descended on Deloa, Ukraine deployed its second wave of electronic warfare. Ghost cell jammers flooded the airspace with overlapping electromagnetic interference. In response, Russia's Kasuka-4 units increased jamming intensity across multiple frequencies, from X-band to K-band. But this only played into Ukraine's hands. The more noise Russia created, the more the drones used it to their advantage. Spectre 7s homed in on the strongest electronic signals, identifying command centers, radar trailers, and communication hubs with pinpoint accuracy. In a devastating twist, Russia's own defensive shield became a glowing target map. The jamming didn't protect anything. Instead, it lit up everything that mattered. The Spectre 7 drones didn't rely on satellites or centralized command. Instead, they operated through a decentralized mesh network, each drone communicating with its neighbors using quick burst transmissions. They shared data in real time, target locations, threat levels, terrain changes. But it wasn't advanced AI that guided them. It was simple, pre-coded rules. Avoid collisions, stay in formation, strike where it hurts. This emergent behavior turned dozens of small drones into a coordinated force that adapted instantly to the battlefield. While Russian systems were stuck recalculating, the swarm moved like a living organism, fast, fluid, and deadly. It was a reminder that in modern warfare, simplicity paired with speed can outmatch even the most complex defenses. At precisely 6:31 a.m., the first wave of Spectre 7 drones struck Deloa with surgical precision. 17 drones hit within 2 seconds, each carrying a shaped charge designed not for wide destruction, but for deep, concentrated impact. The explosions were timed and layered to create overlapping pressure waves, collapsing bunkers and burying radar systems in seconds. Fuel trucks exploded like tinder, and a drone slammed into the central power relay, plunging parts of the base into darkness. Russian gunners tried to regroup, but it was too late. By 6:34 a.m., Deloa's core infrastructure was reduced to flaming wreckage. Only 8 drones had been shot down. The rest had done their job. 3 airfields were now gone, and no Ukrainian pilot had even left the ground. With 3 airbases already in flames, Ivanova Airbase stood as Russia's final stronghold in the region. It wasn't just another airfield. It housed strategic bombers, critical fuel bunkers, and command infrastructure tied directly to Russia's nuclear deterrent. This time, the defenders were fully alert. Every radar was active. Every Panzer crew was at battle stations. And Russia deployed a new countermeasure, the R-330 ZH-GTEL jammers, capable of flooding the skies with GPS-disrupting interference. The strategy was simple. Blind the drones, confuse their navigation, and let them crash or drift off harmlessly. But Ukraine had anticipated this. Unlike the early war drones that relied on satellite signals, the Spectre 7 was designed to fight in silence. It didn't need GPS. It could see. As the swarm of Spectre 7 drones approached Ivanova, Russia's GPS jamming systems activated flawlessly, but it didn't matter. The drones didn't rely on satellite navigation. Each Spectre 7 carried a compact neural processor trained on thousands of satellite and aerial images of Ivanova taken in every season, at every hour from every angle. Instead of coordinates, the drones used real-time visual recognition, matching trees, runway markings, buildings, even subtle shadows. It was navigation through sight, not signal. Russia also deployed decoy aircraft, carefully heated mock-ups placed around the base to fool enemy sensors. Against satellites, this might have worked. But the drones, trained to detect inconsistencies like incorrect exhaust patterns or antenna shapes, ignored the fakes completely. The illusion failed. The drones saw everything. As the swarm neared Ivanova's runway, one Spectre-7 drone detected an unusual heat signature beneath a hangar roof. It wasn't a decoy, it was real. A live Tu-95MS strategic bomber, one of Russia's nuclear-capable aircraft. Without any human input, the drone flagged the target instantly. In response, the rest of the swarm adjusted mid-flight using their mesh network, reassigning warheads on the fly. Drones carrying bunker-penetrating charges headed for hardened shelters, while others equipped with fragmentation or incendiary rounds redirected to exposed fuel trucks, maintenance bays, and aircraft parked outside. At 6:47 a.m., the first explosion ripped through the base. Within seconds, 6 breaches in the underground fuel network ignited a chain reaction. The firestorm tore through pipes and valves, sending secondary explosions across the facility. 14 strategic bombers were destroyed. Ivanova's command center fell silent. It wasn't just a strike, it was a strategic collapse. By the time the smoke cleared over Ivanova, it was no longer just about Ukraine outmaneuvering Russian defenses. It was about the dawn of a new era in warfare. In just 35 minutes, 4 major Russian airbases had been crippled. Not a single Ukrainian pilot had crossed the border. No billion-dollar bombers were launched. Instead, the assault relied on 3 low-cost, high-efficiency tools: Spectre-7 drones, low-flyer ballistic missiles, and ghost cell jamming units. Each Spectre-7 cost less than a military pickup truck. Ghost cells were built using commercial-grade parts. The tactics didn't overpower Russia's advanced systems. They sidestepped them entirely by exploiting physics, human habits, and environmental conditions. Where Russia relied on heavy command hierarchies, Ukraine let machines think and act independently. Where Russia jammed signals, Ukraine used that noise as a guide. The old rules of war, firepower, range, escalation, were shattered. What mattered now was speed, adaptation, and vision. The battlefield had changed forever.